Welcome back to The Key. It's just me today, you guys. I really want to talk about what's actually happening in the Columbus real estate market right now. I feel like I get this question a lot, and knowing that we're in the high selling season for most markets, let's talk about it and let's talk about really what's going on. You've probably, if you've been wondering what's going on in Columbus with real estate, you've probably been hearing really mixed messages because some people are saying things are slowing down and then others are still seeing multiple offers. And the honest truth is both things are happening. But what's really going on right now is a lot more nuanced. And honestly, it's a lot more strategic than most people realize. So let's get into what is happening. The market is splitting. The biggest thing I'm seeing right now is that the market is no longer one size fits all. It's not just, is it a good market anymore? It's more like where, what, and how is it presented? There are still areas in Columbus, particularly Upper Arlington, New Albany, Grandview, certain parts of Dublin, Powell, where homes are still moving really quickly and seeing really strong demand. There's more than that, so don't come at me if I didn't name the one neighborhood, but there are a lot of neighborhoods that are still selling really strong. But at the same time, I am seeing some homes still sit longer if they are overpriced, if they are not updated, or just not presented well. So the market hasn't necessarily slowed, it's just become a lot more selective. Another thing I'm seeing very clearly right now is it's really not just about location, it's also about the price point. So we're seeing super strong activity in that 350 to 500 range. I'm also seeing it again in like the 700 to 850 range. And then honestly, luxury is having a moment in Columbus. The 1 to 2 million plus is also having its moment. Here's the common thread. It really is not just about the price. It is about the condition and it's about the design. Truly, if a home is well designed, thoughtfully updated, and doesn't come with that mental checklist of everything I need to fix when I need to move in, it's going to move. The biggest thing I've seen in 2026 is buyers do not want projects. They want finished and they want easy and they want done and they will pay for it. I don't mean a quick DIY refresh either. I mean homes that feel intentional, cohesive, and truly move-in ready. The gap right now between done well and almost done is massive in terms of how a home performs. Another thing that I think is interesting is the rise of off-market opportunities, and not in the way maybe typically thought of. Let me share something. I've had 2 sellers recently choose to sell off-market, and I am the first one to say, go on the market, because the best way to get the best price is to have the most people look at it, right? Well, I've had 2 people and different reasons. Let me get into why they wanted to do it. The first honestly, just wanted more privacy. We brought in a few buyers. They ended up receiving 2 really strong offers and got the deal that they wanted. The second one, before we even hit the market, we were in prep mode and a neighbor stepped in, made a super compelling offer, and the sellers just simply loved the simplicity of it. They had already bought their home. They were happy with the number. They were ready to move on. So I want to be clear. I really don't always push off market, because it's not always the right strategy. But what this tells me and what's important to know is that sellers have options. They have a lot of options right now. So the goal isn't always just to list your home, it's to choose the strategy that gives you the best outcome. And sometimes that best outcome doesn't even involve MLS. The next thing, we cannot ignore the overall growth that's happening in Columbus right now. Yes, Intel has been obviously a part of the conversation for the last few years, but even beyond that, the amount of development, infrastructure, business investment, population growth happening in Central Ohio, it is pretty incredible. Columbus continues to be one of the strongest growth markets in the Midwest, the entire Midwest, and we're seeing that show up in real estate every single day. I heard anecdotally, tell me if I'm wrong, the 2 growing cities right now in all of the Midwest are Columbus and Chicago. That's like a pretty big deal, you guys. So a lot of the buyers coming here, especially people who are relocating from out of state, are coming from markets where housing costs typically are significantly higher. Even though prices have absolutely increased over the last few years, which we've all felt, compared to places like California, New York, Chicago, DC, or even parts of Florida, Columbus can still feel like a really strong value. Now, property taxes are a whole separate conversation, and that's a whole separate episode. People see opportunity here. They see quality of life, they see job growth and long-term potential. And that is influencing where people are buying and how they're thinking about real estate decisions. Areas like New Albany, Johnstown, Gahanna, and that entire Northeast corridor are getting a lot of attention. But honestly, the bigger story is the confidence people have here in Columbus as a whole. Another interesting thing I'm seeing, especially in some of the downtown neighborhoods, is that not everything is moving. There are definitely properties that are sitting longer in certain parts of downtown. Sometimes those are condominiums, but again, it's not everything. I recently had a buyer in that market. She was looking for a condo. We were actually in the German Village neighborhood, and we actually won in multiple offers. And I know we won because of how we structured the offer. The winning thing for us was a strong appraisal gap. If you're not familiar, that basically means if the home appraises for less than the contract price, the buyer is willing to cover that difference. In a competitive situation, honestly, that can be the thing that gets your offer accepted. But here's what made the situation even better. After we won, she ended up getting an appraisal waiver because her lender worked some magic. She didn't even need to use that coverage. Truly a win-win, strong enough to win the deal, but still protected on the back end. And again, that just reinforces that even in areas that feel a little slower, the right property with the right strategy can still be super competitive. If you are thinking about buying or selling in Columbus right now, the biggest mistake you can make is assuming that the market works the way it did even just 1 year ago. Because you guys, it doesn't. This market is incredibly opportunity rich, but it is also incredibly strategy driven. And the people who are winning right now are the ones who understand it's no longer about timing the market. It's about positioning within it. It's knowing how to show up, whether you're buying or selling, with the right strategy, the right expectations, and a very clear understanding of what actually moves the needle. Okay, guys, before you go, if this episode was helpful, share it with someone you might need it, and make sure you're subscribed, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. And if you really want to support the show, take a moment to leave a review. It would mean so much. Y'all are the best. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, the key is in the details, and the journey is just as important as the destination.